All right, now here are a few cool things that have happened in the hemp industry recently. They're building gigantic buildings out of industrial hemp. This warehouse here is made of hemp lime blocks, and it's super insulated. So it doesn't require any heating, and it doesn't require any air conditioning. And now we also talked about agriculture as a huge source of greenhouse gas emissions. Buildings are a huge source of greenhouse gas emissions. Think how much power it's taking right now to heat this building as we speak. 76% of all power plant generated electricity is used to operate buildings. So this hemp warehouse is carbon negative because it's preventing the user from having to use electricity to heat the building. But it also has carbon from the plant trapped in its walls, 80 tons of carbon. And a conventional brick and block building, it would have produced 450 tons of carbon. There are other things that we can do with industrial hemp to make buildings more insulating and use less energy. We can use hemp insulation. There's a fiberglass replacement insulation here that you see. And also you can use it to coat the walls of the inside or outside of your house, the same sort of material that was used to make the blocks from that warehouse. That's what's in the picture here. And 75% of the building's heat loss is going through its walls and its roof and its floor. And so if we insulate homes that are already existing with industrial hemp, we can reach that same sort of heat capturing potential that the big warehouse have with those hemp blocks. Here's a lotus made out of industrial hemp. Have you guys seen this picture before? No? It's pretty cool, huh? So do you see the brown part, that's actually, you can see the hemp fiber, and the other parts of the car have been painted, but the brown part was left to reveal the fiber. Using industrial hemp fiber conserves energy during manufacturing and makes cars that are lighter and therefore more fuel efficient. Now, industrial hemp is used by most major auto manufacturers, mostly in the interiors of the car. And this car is pretty special because it's using it in the exterior of the car. Who here has seen the Henry Ford video of him taking a sledgehammer against the car? Okay, that was another type of biomass composite exterior of a car. This one is made out of industrial hemp entirely. So I'm just going to wrap it up by putting all of this in perspective. When we're thinking about how industrial hemp is going to save the world, we should look at the ways at which we're expending greenhouse gas emissions right now. As I mentioned, agriculture is a huge sector. Agriculture soils, that's right there with the 6%. That's all caused by the use of natural gas fertilizers. And then electricity and heat for buildings is another big chunk. For residential buildings, it's 9.9% of greenhouse gases, and for commercial buildings, it's 5.4%, so we can tackle that one with industrial hemp. Cement is on there. It says it's 3.8% of greenhouse gases is related to the reduction in use of cement, so we can replace cement with industrial hemp. And the industrial processes there, that's 3.4% of greenhouse gases, and we're mitigating that to a certain extent through the use of natural fibers like industrial hemp because they're lighter, they can be recycled within the factory, and they require less energy in manufacturing. And also, I didn't do a display on making paper out of industrial hemp, but deforestation, that's of this list in the middle, is the biggest. It's 8.3% of greenhouse gases are related to deforestation, and most of that, as you know, is to make toilet paper and other things, paper products. So we should support the industrial hemp industry to get industrial hemp making a lot of paper. Right now, it's just not cost effective because industrial hemp is such a tiny paper stock. So we need to support the hemp movement, support hemp paper that's out there, and help that progress. All right, so I'm gonna have to take off. I have to go back to the theater. I have first and second graders performing a little ballet tonight. But if you have any burning questions, I can answer them right now. Yes, see, I think I have to. Well, hemp has as much protein as soy, and more protein than any type of animal product. So if you're seeking protein, eat hemp. But when it has more than any of those protein sources, it also has omega-3 essential fatty acids. That's what you get when you eat like salmon or other fatty fish. But those things have, you know, if you're doing like Alaskan wild-caught salmon, you're pretty good. But if you're getting your salmon from the Atlantic and it's been farmed, it's full of heavy metals and nasty like mercury and those sorts of toxins. So hemp is farmed organically. Eating organic hemp is a great way to get your omega-3s and your protein and all of your essential fatty acids and lots of vitamins and minerals. Any other burning questions?
You seem to be kind of suggesting the use of industrial hemp as a cure-all. A lot of people, there's debate about the current use of corn in every kind of product, corn-based plastics, corn syrup, and all kinds of sweeteners. It's destroying biodiversity, driving up world food prices. I mean, there's all these negative side consequences of putting too many of our eggs in a single ecological basket. Do you have any of the same kinds of fears about industrial hemp?
Well, right now it's such a tiny niche crop, so it's not a concern. But the reason why corn isn't very efficient at producing all of those petroleum replacement things is because of all the petroleum and natural gas it consumes in fertilizer and pesticides, and because it relies on so many pesticides and fertilizers. So that's what makes it inefficient for fuel. But you may have noticed that I left fuels out of my presentation, and that's because there is no commercial industrial hemp fuel available right now. You can, in theory, use hemp instead of soy-based biodiesel or any other type of biodiesel. The hemp biodiesel is real, it works, it apparently runs really well. But you know, going back to that question of are we going to grow crops for food? Are we going to grow monocultures to replace our oil consumption, or are we going to get down to conserving energy, driving less, supporting public transportation? And biomass fuels, which is another thing that people talk about using hemp for, can also be made out of waste products. So hemp, every part of the plant is useful. So I'm not sure it would make the best biomass feedstock. But I'm open-minded, obviously. I mean, I love industrial hemp. I think it has so many good uses, and it's so sustainable as an agricultural crop. So if those things become commercially available, I think they're for the most part good. It's definitely better than corn. But I have questions in my mind about using things that people can eat to make things for people to drive with. Any other burning questions? It has really deep roots, and that is good for preventing erosion, and that helps conserve nutrients. But it's not like one of these nitrogen-fixing crops. Like soy is a nitrogen-fixing crop, so you would rotate hemp with something like soy, and that would reduce the amount of fertilizer that you need. But hemp needs fertilizer. But I recommend an organic fertilizer, compost, or manure. You want me to take any more questions? Or take one more? Right here? Okay, just briefly, hemp is treated right now as marijuana legally. So, you know, according to the federal government, it's the same thing. And farmers in North Dakota have been leading the fight nationally to get their right to grow industrial hemp, which is a non-drug crop. And we've tried legally, so far we failed in the courts, it's on appeal. We've tried legislation, so far our legislation hasn't gone anywhere. We've tried working with the agencies going back to 2000, the DEA ignored us. But, you know, like everybody, we think Obama is going to change the world. He voted for industrial hemp when he was a state senator, when he was in Illinois in the state senate. And so, you know, maybe his administration will do something different on the issue. So we'll just keep going. I mean, the issue has only been live since the mid-1990s. So I think that the market has continued to grow by leaps and bounds. Hemp foods are still growing, skyrocketing in their growth. You'll see them all over the natural products marketplace and organic food. So as the market continues to grow, I think the case for legalizing industrial hemp gets even easier.